Gating effects. So what a gate is it's in the dynamics family, and instead of like a compressor, which takes and turns everything down that goes over a threshold, this does the opposite. Any audio that goes under the threshold gets turned down or turned off completely. So the idea is that when something gets soft, instead of hearing the underlying noise or the background, it just turns off. So the reason why it's called a gate, it's as if there's a gate that gets opened when the audio pushes through, and as soon as the audio gets below the threshold, that gate closes and you can't hear anything at all. So one of the key things about a gate here is we can't put it after a compressor, because then we're kind of fighting against ourselves, because a compressor is taking the low level audio and raising it up, and what we're doing with the gate is we're trying to take the low level audio and turn it off. And so if we put the compressor first, we are raising that stuff that we want to turn off before we have a chance to turn it off. So we've got to move our compressor down to the second spot, because these are actually in order as to how they affect the signal in the path of the audio. So we're going to go to Plugin Dynamics, and it's the sister plugin to the Compressor Limiter Dynamics 3. It is the Expander Gate Dynamics 3. Okay, and so we're going to solo that snare drum, and it's going to sound pretty nasty at first, but listen. Okay, so only that tippy top of the snare is making it through. It's loud enough to go. So as we lower the threshold, you'll notice that we get more of the signal through, and when we get all the way down, all the signal's coming through, you see? So as we bring that threshold up, we're defining the point at which the audio is low enough that we want to just get rid of it. Okay, and then you notice that a lot of the functions, the controls are the same. Okay, and we're going to use the same kind of thing, the attack. So once it goes under the threshold, how quickly is it going to turn it off? And the release, once it comes back up after going up above the threshold, how quickly is it going to be turned back on? Okay, so, and then one thing that's really cool here is we have a control called range. And so what range does is it actually lets you turn up. It's basically the amount of turning down or turning off that occurs for the stuff that goes below the threshold. So usually when it's down pretty low, you're basically just turning everything off that goes below the threshold. Okay? But once you turn it up, now you're saying, okay, anything that goes below the threshold, I'm turning down 19 dB. So it's a great way to take the background noise of something and say, okay, whenever someone stops talking or something like that, we're just going to turn their background noise or their breaths or something like that down 10 dB, and you can use a gate to do that. Okay, but we're going to adjust this to make it so that it just pops out a little better. So we're kind of turning down the kick drum and the hi-hat that come through on this mic and make it more so it's just the snare drum that we're hearing. Okay, so we're going to take and do the same thing to our snare bottom track. Copy that over. Same thing there, so we don't get the buzz when the kick drum hits. Okay, see that? That one's pretty obvious there. Okay, and then the other spot where we want to throw some gating is on the lead vocal. You'll notice when the lead vocal's going, we're going to jump ahead to these parts here. As you can see, she pauses in between parts and such, and so
he said he will be there, Jesus.
See, we can hear everybody else.
Jesus.
Okay, so we're going to put that gate in there to just kind of turn down the background noise. So when she stops singing.
He said he will be there, Jesus. Jesus.
Okay, so now we just have to make sure that when she comes in and goes out that it doesn't chop off the end of what she's saying.
He may not.
Okay, so if we bypass that.
He said he will be there, Jesus.
Okay, we can hear all that bleed, and now.
He said he will be there, Jesus.
Now there's no bleed. Okay, so little things like that will clean up our recording, and so a gate can be very useful in circumstances like that. So it's going to be really hard to notice that anything changed there, but it actually did give us some more clarity in our mix, getting rid of some of that bleed.
He said he will be there, Jesus.
Okay, and that is gating effects.